When I first moved into that apartment, I thought I'd just gotten lucky. Cheap rent, a little rough around the edges, sure, peeling paint, creaky elevators, and the kind of neighborhood where people chain their bikes inside their own hallways. But for the price, I figured I could deal with it. What I didn't realize was that my luck came with a neighbor. A man. A big man. He lived 2 floors above me, and from the very beginning, he stood out. Not just because of how he looked, tall, broad shoulders, completely bald, and always wearing the same black raincoat even when the sun was shining. It was his presence. The way he moved. The way he looked at people. The way he spoke. You couldn't mistake him for anyone else. He rarely came out during the day. Most neighbors said they'd never even seen him. But I noticed his patterns because I'm the kind of person who pays attention to details. Every evening, just around 8 o'clock, I'd hear the sound of his door opening upstairs. Then the steady thud of boots down the stairwell. He always left around the same time, always carrying the same large black leather bag slung across his back. The bag sagged oddly, like something heavy shifted inside of it. That was my first impression, the bag. It looked like it belonged to someone on their way to the gym. But he never dressed like that. Always the raincoat, always the boots. And when he passed you in the hallway, there was this faint odor, like wet concrete mixed with something metallic. He usually went to the little convenience store 2 blocks over. I ran into him there once, at the register. He bought the same things every time: cheap canned food, big bottles of water, cleaning supplies, and meat. A lot of meat. The cashier greeted me normally, but when the man stepped forward, the whole atmosphere changed. The cashier's smile faltered. She rang up his items quickly, without looking him in the eye. When he finally left, she muttered something under her breath in her own language. I couldn't catch it, but her tone said enough. That was the beginning. The noises came next. Late at night, sometimes after midnight, sometimes closer to 3 a.m., I'd hear him. First it was banging, heavy, rhythmic thuds echoing through the floor. Then came the drilling, the scraping, the unmistakable whine of a saw. It wasn't every night, but when it happened, it would last for hours. I'd sit in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to it echo through the pipes and vents. Sometimes it sounded like furniture being dragged across the floor. Other times, like something was being taken apart. One night I pressed my ear to the radiator and swear I heard a low voice. Not words, exactly. Just muttering. I tried to brush it off. Old buildings carry sound in weird ways. Maybe he was a night shift worker. Maybe he just did renovations at the worst possible hours. But then came the shouting. It was random. Sudden bursts, sometimes in the middle of the day. I'd be making coffee and hear a deep bellow of rage shake the hallway. Words I couldn't quite make out. Sometimes laughter, too sharp and hollow, like he was talking to someone, except no one else was there. The building grew used to it. People stopped reacting. In a place like that, you learn to mind your own business. My first real encounter with him came on an evening when I stayed late at work. I got home after 10, the courtyard mostly empty, lamps buzzing overhead. I had my groceries in one hand, keys in the other. As I approached the stairwell, I saw him coming down the sidewalk, that massive raincoat swaying, the black bag bouncing against his back. He slowed when he saw me. And then he smiled.
"You're out late,"
he said, voice gravelly but almost cheerful.
"Not safe for a woman like you."
It wasn't a question. It wasn't concern. It was a statement. I muttered something like,
"I'm fine, thank you,"
and tried to move past him. He didn't stop me, but the smile stayed. I could feel his eyes on me all the way to the door. That night, I triple-checked my locks. A few weeks later, I ran into him again. This time, in the elevator. It was early morning, around 6 a.m. I was leaving for a long shift, still half asleep. The elevator doors slid open, and there he was. Standing tall, boots caked with dirt, the same massive leather bag slung over his back. He was beaming. His bald head gleamed in the fluorescent light.
How's your night been?
He asked. Something about his tone made my skin crawl. The way he asked it, like we were sharing some secret. Like he already knew something about me. I forced a polite smile.
Just starting my day.
He adjusted the strap of the bag, grinning wider. Mine's just ending. Very productive night. The way he said productive made my stomach turn. The bag shifted as he leaned slightly, and I swear I saw the outline of something angular pressing against the leather. Something that didn't look like groceries. When the doors opened, I let him step out first. I didn't breathe until he was gone. Neighbors started whispering about him. Some said he was breaking into other apartments when people weren't home, looking for hidden rooms and secret exits. A woman down the hall swore she found her couch moved a foot from the wall one day, though her door had still been locked. Others claimed he had been in and out of psychiatric care, released just a year ago. No family, no friends. Just him, the raincoat, and the noises. I told myself it was gossip, but the tension in the building grew. No one wanted to be caught alone with him. The final straw came on a night I'll never forget. It was nearly midnight when I heard shouting again, louder than ever. The kind that rattled windows. Then came banging, and a sound like metal scraping concrete. Police arrived. Sirens flashed through my blinds. They rushed upstairs. I cracked my door just enough to see. They brought him out in restraints. He didn't fight. He didn't scream. He just smiled, that same wide grin, as they strapped him into the ambulance. His raincoat hung open. The black bag lay discarded on the landing. I saw the edge of a saw handle poking out. Later, word spread. The police had found things in his apartment. Not tools. Not furniture. Rests of a body. I don't live there anymore. But sometimes, when I hear a drill in the middle of the night, I remember his words in the elevator.
Very productive night.
And I wonder how many nights, before they finally took him away, he was working just above my head. I've been a runner for years. It's my therapy. The one routine I stick to no matter how chaotic life gets. Running clears my head, it keeps my anxiety in check, and it makes me feel safe, in a way. Like I'm doing something good for myself. My usual route is a wooded trail about 10 minutes outside of town. It's not remote. There are picnic tables, bike racks, even a couple of those green trash bins along the way. But once you're a mile or two in, the trees crowd out the road noise and you might as well be in the middle of nowhere. I usually run in the early mornings before work. Same time, same trail, almost every day. And it always felt routine, predictable. I liked it that way. But one morning last spring changed everything for me. And I haven't run alone since. That morning was off from the very beginning. When I pulled into the trailhead lot, I noticed mine was the only car there. Normally there are at least a couple regulars. The older man who walks his dachshund, the woman in the neon windbreaker who power walks with her headphones in, a guy on a bike sometimes. I told myself maybe I was just early. But the emptiness gnawed at me. I got out, laced up tighter than usual, and set off. The first half mile was normal enough. Crunch of gravel, cold air in my lungs, the faint smell of wet pine. But about a mile in, I saw him. A man standing just off the trail, half shadowed by the trees. He was holding something bright red that caught the corner of my eye. At first I thought it was a piece of equipment, but as I got closer I saw it was a leash. Just a leash, and his expression, it wasn't relief, like you'd expect from someone who just lost their pet. He looked almost eager, like he'd been waiting for me.
Excuse me?
He called out, stepping onto the trail.
Hey, have you seen a brown map? She bolted into the woods. I can't find her.
I slowed instinctively. My first thought was, oh no, poor guy, he lost his dog. My second thought was, wait, something's wrong. The leash was spotless. Bright nylon, not a single fray or speck of dirt. If you've ever owned a dog, you know leashes don't look brand new after a single walk, let alone a frantic chase through mud. And his shoes? Heavy boots. Thick-soled, laced to the top, caked in dried mud. Not running shoes. Not even casual sneakers. The kind of boots you'd wear for work.
She listens better to women,
he said quickly, gesturing into the trees.
Could you just help me call for her? I think she's scared.
Every nerve in my body screamed, don't do it. I forced a smile, shook my head.
Sorry, I'm on a schedule. Hope you find her.
That's when everything changed. His smile didn't fade, but his body language snapped. He dropped the leash into the dirt like it meant nothing, and he lunged forward. I took off. Adrenaline surged through me so fast it felt like my chest was going to explode. The trail dipped downhill and I nearly lost my footing, gravel spraying under my shoes. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't calling for the dog anymore. He wasn't saying a word. Just chasing. Branches clawed at my arms as I cut off the path into the trees, trying to throw him off. My breath tore out in ragged bursts, my heart hammering so hard it drowned out everything else. Every time I glanced back, I caught glimpses of him, the flash of red leash swinging in his hand, the pale oval of his face between the trees. I thought about screaming, but the woods swallowed sound. There was no one to hear me. I hit a fork in the trail, one way looping deeper into the woods, the other leading back toward the parking lot. I didn't think. I just bolted for the lot. My car was still the only one there. For a split second, I thought I might not make it. But I yanked my keys from my pocket, fumbled them into the lock, and practically dove inside. I slammed the door, locked it, turned the ignition, headlights flashing across the lot. And that's when I saw his vehicle. It was parked half hidden behind a clump of trees. An old white van, rusted along the sides. And through the open window, I saw the inside. Multiple leashes. Not just one. 4, 5, 6 of them coiled on the passenger seat. Different colors. A roll of duct tape. A pile of collars. And what looked like a blanket, stained dark. He stood by the van, frozen, staring into my headlights. For the first time, he wasn't smiling. His expression was flat, cold, like he was memorizing me. I didn't wait. I peeled out so fast I nearly clipped a trash bin at the lot exit. I called the police once I was far enough away to breathe. They sent someone out, but by the time they arrived, the van was gone. No trace. No plates caught, no witnesses, nothing. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside my window made me sit upright in bed. At 2 a.m., I swore I saw headlights idling at the corner of my street. When I looked again, they were gone. The next day, scrolling through a local women's safety group online, I found 2 posts. Different women. Different days. Same story. A man with a leash asking for help. No dog. The details varied, but the core was the same. One woman even described his van. She said she reported it weeks earlier, but police didn't have enough to go on. Here's the part that stuck with me. I tried to run the same trail again a month later, thinking maybe I was overreacting. When I reached the 1 mile mark, there was something waiting on the path. A leash. Bright red. Spotless. Laid neatly across the dirt. I didn't stop. I didn't look around. I turned and sprinted the whole way back to my car, lungs burning, throat raw. I haven't been back since. And now, when I see someone walking a dog with a bright red leash, I can't help but wonder, is it just a leash? Or is it him, waiting for someone else to trust him enough to follow? I was desperate for a place to live. Rent near campus was ridiculous, and every listing I found was either a scam or way out of my budget. So when I stumbled across a Craigslist ad for a private basement unit at half the normal price, I jumped on it. The ad was bare, one blurry photo of a door, description said, utilities included. Cash only. Contact Mr. D. When I pulled up to the house, my stomach sank. The siding was rotting, shutters hung loose, weeds higher than my knees. Curtains covered every window though it was mid-afternoon. I thought about leaving, but then the door opened. A man stepped out. Late 50s, maybe 60. Thin but tall, shoulders hunched, greasy gray hair combed back. His smile was wide, too wide.
You must be here for the unit,
he said. His voice was soft, almost rehearsed. The smell hit me as I stepped inside, mildew, dust, and something sweetly rotten. The living room looked frozen in time, furniture from the 70s, yellow doilies, stacks of newspapers. On the wall, a family photo, a younger version of him with a wife and kids. Except the wife and children's faces had been scratched out. Deep gouges.
Quiet students are what I like,
he said, staring too long.
Needing a home.
I forced a smile.
Can I see the place?
He waved me toward the hall, but then paused.
Before we go down, won't you sit? Have some tea. I don't get many visitors. Got cookies too. Family recipe.
I started to decline, but his hand gripped my arm. Firm. Too firm.
Please. Just 1 cup.
I sat. He shuffled to the kitchen, returned with 2 chipped mugs. The tea was dark, metallic smelling. I pretended to sip. He smiled, watching too closely. While he rambled about the good old neighborhood, my eyes wandered. Everything was dated. Plastic flowers. Faded wallpaper. And that photo again. This time I noticed something else. In the background, a dark basement doorway. A shadow where someone could have been standing. I stood quickly.
I think this won't work for me. Thanks for the tea.
His smile dropped. His eyes narrowed. Then he whispered,
No. Let me show you. You haven't seen the best part.
He led me toward the back of the house. A narrow staircase descended into a damp basement. The light bulb buzzed and flickered. The air was colder, heavy. The apartment wasn't an apartment at all. Concrete walls dripping with moisture. A bare mattress. Rusted chains bolted to the floor. A padlock dangling open. He turned to me, grin spreading again.
Already furnished?
My stomach lurched. I backed toward the stairs. He stepped closer.
Don't leave yet. I want to introduce you. My boy needs a friend.
At first, I thought I misheard. But then, movement. From the far corner, behind some junk and old shelving, a shape shifted. I froze as something stepped forward into the dim light. It wasn't a boy. It was a man. Early 30s, maybe. Shirtless, filthy. Hair matted into clumps. Fingernails so long they curled, black with dirt. His eyes were wide, unfocused, like he hadn't seen daylight in years. His chest heaved with animal-like breaths. The old man smiled wider.
He's alone, just like me, but I think he'd make a good friend for him.
The boy tilted his head. And then he smiled too, cracked lips pulling back to show yellow teeth. That was enough. I shoved past the old man, bolting up the stairs as the boy let out this guttural sound, half laugh, half growl. I slammed through the front door and sprinted to my car, nearly dropping my keys as I fumbled to start it. In my rearview, I saw the old man standing in the doorway. The boy crouched behind him, too tall, too wrong, his nails scraping the frame as if itching to climb out. Weeks later, the ad reappeared online. Same house. Same price. New photos, basement cleaner, mattress gone, chains cropped out. But in the corner of one picture, I saw something familiar. My scarf. The one I dropped when he grabbed at me. Police didn't believe me. Said it was an old photo, coincidence. But I know what I saw. And I'll never forget his words.
My boy needs a friend.
Because somewhere in that house, under the floorboards, his boy is still waiting. At this point, I'm honestly considering just living in my car, like people joke about on TikTok, or maybe crawling back to my parents' house. I don't drink a lot, but that night I'd had just enough to let my guard down. It was a Friday, one of my best friend's birthdays, and we were out downtown at a bar we didn't usually go to. Music so loud the floor vibrated, cheap mixed drinks that tasted like syrup, strangers bumping shoulders in every direction. It wasn't exactly my scene, but my friends were having the time of their lives. By 1 a.m., we spilled out onto the sidewalk, tipsy and laughing. The air was cold, sharp with exhaust and city lights buzzing overhead. Everyone was pulling out their phones to order Ubers, but my own phone was at 8% and dying fast. I told them not to worry. I'd just hitch a ride with one of them or grab a taxi. That choice nearly ruined my life. The plan was simple. I'd meet my roommate a few blocks over. She was leaving a different bar and had her car parked nearby. I knew roughly where she was parked, or at least I thought I did. So when I saw a sedan idling along the curb, headlights on, hazards blinking, I didn't even hesitate. The driver leaned across the passenger seat and smiled when he saw me.
Uber?
He asked. I nodded, sliding into the back seat, the leather sticking cold against my bare legs. I mumbled the name of my street, already fumbling with my bag. That's when I heard the doors click. Locking. And his voice, low and almost amused.
Don't worry. I know where you live.
At first, I laughed, nervously, thinking maybe he was just trying to sound reassuring. But my stomach tightened. Something about the way he said it wasn't casual. It was too certain. I glanced at the dashboard. No Uber app running. No GPS directions on the screen. Just an empty display and his reflection in the dark glass.
Wait,
I said slowly.
what's my name?
He didn't answer. His hands tightened on the wheel, and the smile spread wider. That's when I knew. I wasn't in my friend's car. And this wasn't my Uber. He pulled away from the curb smoothly, not in a rush, as if this was all normal. My pulse hammered in my ears as I checked the locks, checked the windows. Child lock engaged. No way to roll them down. The streets thinned out as we left downtown, neon signs fading into empty intersections and dark storefronts. He wasn't taking the freeway toward my apartment. He was steering toward the outskirts, the industrial side, where warehouses lined the roads and the streetlights grew fewer and farther between. Excuse me, I think you've got the wrong person. I tried again, louder this time. My throat was tightening. Let me out here, I'll call someone else. Nothing. He just kept driving, that same grin plastered on, like he was enjoying my panic. We hit a stretch of road where the speed limit dropped, and he slowed for the curve. My chance. I reached across, yanked up the lock, and shoved the door open. The cold air blasted in, and before I could second-guess myself, I hurled myself out. The asphalt shredded me. My palms, knees, and elbow burned as gravel tore skin. The impact knocked the wind from my lungs. I rolled hard onto the shoulder, coughing, ears ringing. Behind me, the car screeched, but only for a second. He didn't stop. He didn't come back. Instead, the engine roared louder, and he tore off into the night, still in possession of the car he tricked me into. I staggered to my feet, shaking. Blood slicked my hands and jeans, and the world spun. But headlights appeared from the opposite direction, a pickup truck slowing down, the driver leaning out, calling if I was okay. I couldn't even answer at first. All I managed to get out was,
He took the car. He took the car.
The man in the truck insisted on waiting with me until police arrived. They patched me up, asked endless questions, and promised they'd track the car down. By the next morning, they had. It was found miles away, dumped on a dirt road deep in the state forest. No plates. No wallet or phone in the glove box. Not even the hazard lights that had drawn me in. Just abandoned, like it had served its purpose. I thought that would be the end of it. A close call, a horrifying night, but over. Until a week later. I woke up one morning to a flood of emails. Your ride receipt is ready. Thank you for choosing Uber. 5 different receipts in one night, all for trips across the city I'd never taken. The pickup and drop-off points were neighborhoods I didn't know. But my name was on them. My email. My account. Someone had my information. When I contacted Uber, they confirmed the trips were requested from my account, but on a different device. Whoever that man was, he had access to my profile. My address. My payment method. I changed everything. My passwords, my email, even the card linked to my account. But it didn't erase the paranoia. Because every time I leave a bar now, every time I see a car idling at the curb with hazards blinking, I hear his voice again. That low, confident promise. Don't worry. I know where you live.